This is a Dragon Blazer production.
This is Unsolved Comedy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Unsolved Comedies. Again, I am your host, Kezaya. We have...
Stefan.
There he is, and where's the other one?
I am host of Pro Wrestling Apologist Podcast, Craig Atkins.
There he is.
And I am, for you, Kezaya, for this show, I'm drinking Jane Doe. It's a beer from the Phoenix Brewing Company here in Mansfield. Figured it was a fitting beer for this Unsolved Mystery show, oftentimes about Jane Does.
Yes. Now, I will say it's probably not the perfect beer for this podcast, but unless you found any child murder beers, I think it's as good as you're getting.
I couldn't find any. That's a hard one to find.
There's got to be a market for that.
I feel like if I drink a Pabst, that might fit.
But, shots fired! Shots fired!
Jesus.
I'll have to find out the favorite beer of our subject tonight. I'll let you reveal the subject, but I'm sure the subject of our show tonight drank a lot of beer.
The victim was 3.
Well, I'm more talking about the. Well, I guess technically it's still an unsolved mystery, isn't it? Because who knows who did this?
Yeah, really, it's so hard to figure out.
What is it with you and child murder? What the hell?
Listen, man, there's a lot of child murders out there.
What make this hard? Yeah, last one I was on
was child
murder children. And
I guess at least this is only one.
Yeah, this is only one murdered child, and
you're just trying to You just want to ruin my days.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like Craig's having a good day. Let's bring his mood down.
Maybe.
He
so
just had a child, so you know.
I was just say, let me push some of these children's toys over here.
All right. So let's talk. Let's talk about this case. And I first want to mention that this case has been tried in the court of public opinion and in criminal court. And the person that we're talking about today was found innocent in the court of law, but she is not innocent in the court of public opinion. She is the most guilty motherfucker on the face of the planet if we're going by public opinion. Full disclosure.
Yeah.
Today, we're talking about Casey Anthony.
Nobody wants to talk about her. Sweetheart. America's sweetheart.
Well, let's start out because I have some information that's going to ruin all of Ohio for both of you. Are you ready?
All of Ohio?
It's going to be hard.
Are you ready?
It's got a lot of...
Yeah.
It's got a lot of redeeming qualities. Fucking Jesus. So, Casey Anthony's from Ohio.
Yay!
Oh.
We got one!
Oh, hey.
Hi-oh!
I don't know why, but she's from here. Like, I guess her dad was like a cop. I don't know where they lived in Ohio before she moved to Florida, but I know she's from here, and her dad was a police officer.
Didn't she go to Ohio State, too?
I have no clue if she even went to college because I don't think she did. No, she didn't. I had to think that.
Oh, she didn't. Okay.
No, I had to think that over.
Maybe she I know I saw her in an Ohio State sweater, and I don't know why I'm stupid enough to assume she went to Ohio State because
I have Ohio State sweaters.
There's 100,000 people that have never even drove near that college that wear the gear.
We'll talk about it, but just so you know, this bitch didn't even graduate high school. Like, we are dealing with a real grade A.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
have you ever heard of Jodi Arias and the Jodi Arias case that like
Oh, of
resembles
course.
the Psycho
Of
case?
course.
Right. Okay.
America's other sweetheart that was right around the same time.
They're the same fucking person. They are the same person. They're the same person. Because Jodi Arias is a lying bitch, and Casey Anthony is also a lying bitch. So
We have
let's
so
talk
much in
about some
common.
lies. Let's start out. I'm not even going to go into Casey's backstory. We're just going to start immediately off talking about her lies, because oh my god, some of them are just fucking horrendous. And I'm just going to drop some bombs on you guys and tell you guys about. There's some good ones. I'm going to tell you guys about some of the lies that she told prior to
I've already
even
got a
having
sound.
Caylee.
I've already got a sound cue ready for when you get to one of them.
So we're going to talk about her life before Caylee, just like a few years before Caylee, and you can already see in that instance that she's already a fucking nut job. Like, and her parents enabled her. So, like, I hold her parents just as much responsible for Caylee's disappearance as I hold Casey. Because at this point, there is no way that you didn't know your daughter was a lying, disgusting piece of shit. I'm sorry, but there's no way.
I'm sure they didn't. I don't think they thought she was capable of murder. But yeah, they were enablers.
Definitely enablers. So let's talk first of all.
Enablers that eventually got thrown under the bus by their lovely daughter too.
Listen, if Casey was my daughter,
I'll let you
I'd
get
kill
to that.
her. I'd kill her. If Casey was my daughter, I would kill her. Like, that's where we're at. Let's
Here
talk,
at
though,
Unsolved Comedies,
about...
we don't condone killing people or threatening their lives. Even Casey Anthony's life.
I swear to God that the death penalty is the only reason that Casey got off scot-free. If they had gone in with life in prison, Casey would have been convicted. But, like, one of the things that you...
I'm sure we'll get there, but yeah, it was just they rushed that case. The case wasn't ready, and they just rushed right into it. And
well, the case was never going to be ready. It sucks. We'll talk about the case. Let's talk though about Casey Anthony in high school.
Yeah. Casey
Anthony, did you guys ever skip classes in high school? Like, just skip classes, go hang out somewhere?
Guilty. Yeah.
I don't know if I ever did. Maybe once or twice.
I never skipped classes because, like, anymore.
Nerd.
I mean, you have to remember that. Okay, so I'm 21. I'm 21. I just turned 21. So you have to remember that my high school experience was hella different from yours and Steven's.
It was like yesterday.
And, like, I graduated in 2018. So I've been out of college. I've been out of high school for 2 years, and at this point,
why are you hanging out with us creepy old guys?
Yeah.
Because Steven's my boyfriend's cousin.
And I'm just there.
She's like family.
I mean, you're funny, Craig. That's why you get to hang around, because you're funny.
Hell yeah, I am.
I never skipped classes, and I unfortunately am probably. My school system now, the school system that I graduated from, is probably more similar to the school system that Casey Anthony graduated from than your guys' school system. Because in the current school system today, you can only miss so many classes, and then your credits then become null and void. And if those credits become null and void, you don't walk. I feel like it was that way.
Yeah, I feel like it was that way. I feel like it's just kind of always been that way, yeah. I didn't do it all the time. I was a loser.
I was a loser. Well, Casey Anthony skipped enough classes to, like, she just stopped going to school at some point. Like, she was in high school, she was a senior, she was getting ready to graduate, and she just stopped going to school. Like, she just stopped going to classes. And then...
I know a few like that.
As most murderers do.
Well...
most murderers.
And then... her parents
stay in school, kids.
Please stay in school. Do not.
They're children. They don't need facts.
They don't need facts.
They
well,
believe in Santa Claus.
Casey stopped going to school, and at some point she knew she was not going to graduate, or that she at least wasn't going to walk with her class. Right? At some point she figured that out, and So when her parents came asking about, hey, Casey, like, hey, do you have your cap and gown yet?
came to
Where's
the
your cap
school.
and gown? Let's go take some senior pictures in your cap and gown type situation. They were trying to figure out what was going on because they had not seen her cap and gown. They hadn't seen anything to indicate that she was graduating with her class.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in high school, like that was like everybody did that first week of senior year. Even if you didn't know if you were going to walk, everybody did that like within the first month of senior year because it took so long to get measurements and to get everything ordered and for the school to get everything. Like we ordered them in August the year prior and we didn't get them until 3 days before graduation. I literally, like my last day of school, I didn't even go to classes my last day of school. I literally just showed up, gave my teachers my books, and had to pick up my cap and gown because they hadn't come in. So our school just told us to pick them up our last day of school. Well, Casey never got hers. I guess back in the day, you got them like a couple of weeks in advance. We did not, but I guess back in the day or in Florida or whatever, that's how it was working, right? So they got their cap and gowns. Everybody else did, and Casey didn't. So her parents were like, hey, what the fuck's going on? We need your cap and gown for senior pictures, right? Or, it might not have been senior pictures, but I assume that that's why her parents would have been concerned 2 or 3 weeks before school was out about her cap and gown.
Yeah.
So Casey was like, oh, school fucked up. They didn't actually order my cap and gown.
I believe I pulled that with my grade card in middle school. In fact,
Really?
I was grounded from hanging out with that douchebag for a while because I was hiding my grade card.
If you guys didn't know, Craig and Steven have known each other for a long time. So if you hear any weird stories, it's because they've literally known each other.
Since longer than you've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For 30-something years.
Yeah, so they've been friends for a long time. Now, so a couple of weeks after that, it's getting really close to school being done and graduation happening. And her parents are again like, hey, where's your cap and gown? And she's like, I told you the school forgot to order it. And that lie works until Casey gets Cindy, Casey's mother, gets a call from the school counselor. And the school counselor informs her that, in fact, no, her daughter is not walking with her class or graduating because she doesn't have enough credits because she skipped so many classes that half of her credits for her senior year were null and void.
Yeah.
So
it's the first start of a theme of she tends to put off some responsibilities in life, or maybe pushes them aside, maybe even kills her responsibilities a little bit.
Oh, jeez.
Goddamn, Craig. You couldn't have framed that a little bit softer.
Spoiler alert.
So yeah, this is the first recorded event of Casey starting to lie. This is the first instance that we see of it just being stupid shit that she lies about. So if we know she's lying about stupid shit, then it's not hard to figure out when she gets to the bigger shit that she's gonna lie about that too.
Oh, buddy.
Yes, sir. So that is that. Just that I wanted to give you that little bit of information before Caylee came along so that we could see that this was not just when Caylee was born that this shit started. It's been had going on. It was going on for a long time, probably her whole life, but we just know about this cap and gown situation. And this cap and gown situation is what, made it suspicious, I think, that like her parents were suspicious of her lying a lot.
Yeah.
Steven, do you have anything to add, or are you just going to sit there quietly?
Oh, I'm just, listening to this riveting story.
Fitting story.
I'm just hoping for a happy ending.
I think you know how this case ends, buddy.
No.
No, what?
No.
Everything will be fine.
For that.
No
If you want
children
a
are
happy
going to be
ending, you gotta
harmed.
listen to the Pro Wrestling Apologist podcast.
No. Yeah. Not any better.
Yeah, it's a whole mess, and we'll get into some more of what makes it a whole mess here in a little bit. I just wanted to kind of preface everything. I wanted you guys to see that it wasn't a new thing for Casey to lie. So for her parents to not realize that she was lying, it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, her parents don't ever acknowledge her lying or anything like that. They're like, no, we stand by our daughter. Stupid asses. No, you don't.
We'll see how far that got them too.
All right, sorry about that. Technical difficulties. I had to fix the way I was sitting. But the next thing we're going to talk about is some more fucked up shit that Casey did.
Yay!
So, Casey lied about her pregnancy until she was 7 months pregnant. And we've all seen what Casey Anthony looks like. She's hella skinny. She's hella petite. So, like, I don't know how this chick thought that she was going to get away with just, like, lying and being like, no, I'm not pregnant.
Yeah.
I just, like everybody said I think her boyfriend at the time was like, oh, no, she's retaining water.
Just
Like, I
like
don't...
Big Mac.
My wife is very skinny the same way. And sometimes when she eats, she can, eats a large meal, she'll look pregnant. And that's how she looked for like the first 3 months of her pregnancy. She just looked like she ate a lot, but people were able to figure out after about 3 months.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And on top of that, so she lies about her pregnancy for 7 months. And, like, I don't know if anybody knows this. So let's talk about some of my sources. I used a Stephanie Harlow video. I used a Kendall Ray video. I read some articles. I actually have the physical autopsy report to read when we get to the part about Caylee's body. But one of the things that Stephanie brought up in her video is okay, so you both have children. Both of you have children.
That
Who
is
was
correct.
the
Not with
first-
each other.
Who was the first person to hold your child, Craig?
It was actually me.
It was you, but
Yeah.
it was one of the parents. Like, who did your wife hold your daughter?
She did. She did, but it was actually me that got to be the first one because my wife was not in a good condition she was all kinds of torn up and bleeding all over the place. But then she got to very shortly after me.
Right. So, Stephen, who was the first person to hold your 2 children with your ex-wife?
I believe my ex-wife got to hold them both.
This is normal shit. One of the things that I
with my son, he wasn't breathing, so they had to cut the cord and then go save his life first. But
well, I mean, that's different, but like,
this isn't about your kids, Stephen.
Oh, geez, I'm so sorry.
The point I'm trying to make is that Stephanie Harlow said in her video, and I don't know what the source is for this, but Stephanie Harlow said in her video that Cindy Anthony, Casey's fucking mother, was the first bitch to hold Caylee. The first one. I'm like, what? Like, your daughter just gave birth and you're going to fight with her about you getting to hold your fucking granddaughter first? Like, you got me fucked up. Like, I don't understand. Like, what do you mean?
In fairness, if my mom could have gotten away with it, she would have tried to be the first one to hold that baby.
I mean, yeah, but, like, you have to remember that, like, Casey, okay, as much as I don't care for Casey, I really don't care for her. But
no, she's not a good person. I know
when
it's
you just
controversial.
have when you've just given birth, like I've never had kids, but like I know plenty of people that have had kids. When you've just given birth, they don't even really let you drive. Like they don't let you drive, they don't let you do anything. They don't want you to be put under any stress. So how the fuck was this woman going to walk up to her daughter and try to argue with her? Because when Stephanie talked about this
Probably
point
because that's
during
the
her
easiest
video,
time to do it if she's drugged up.
exactly.
Yeah.
Really, but when I was watching Stephanie's video, it wasn't like they had all agreed that Cindy was going to hold Caylee first. It was that Cindy insisted that she was going to
Just
hold Caylee
jumped
first.
in there, yeah.
So this bitch decided that she was going to hold her granddaughter first, no matter what her daughter wanted. And I think that that's wrong, personally, myself. I'd
Yeah.
punch somebody in the face if they thought they were going to hold my daughter before me.
Yeah, it wasn't even my choice to be the first to hold her. It was kind of like a situation where Sarah couldn't, so it was just like, hey,
Right.
you want? I'm like, oh, okay. I kind of wanted her
You
to be
had a
able to
part
be
to
the first
this.
one. Sarah doesn't even have a memory. Yeah, it was
Right,
hard
right.
for me.
But just like I just wanted to make that point. I wanted to make a couple of points before things
Yeah.
got like serious. Like
The point
this
worth being made.
family has some issues. And I am not
Yeah.
like when Stephanie did 3 videos about this and Kendall Ray did a decent sized video about it, and all of the articles I read about it, like all of the articles and even like 2 whole sections, 2 whole videos of Stephanie's that I watched focused on family drama. And there was other information mixed in, but a lot of it focused on family drama. And so I'm not going to talk about a lot of the family drama, but I am going to make the point. This family had a lot of drama. This family was pretty fucked up. This family had some shit going on. So when we start talking about things, I want you guys to keep that in mind so that when I bring up certain things, you guys can make that click and be like, well, we already know there was a problem, right? Cool. That point's out of the way. That point's been made. We're going to talk about what happened after Caylee was born. So when Caylee was born, Casey was working at Universal Studios in Orlando. She was like a kiosk person. Like, you know, when you go, like, we have Cedar Point here because we're in Ohio. But when you go to Cedar Point and like you get off like the Gemini or whatever, and they have all those pictures and they try to sell them to you, like at the kiosk next to the ride, that's what her job was. That she was selling pictures, and she really didn't even work for Universal. She worked for a photography company that contracted through Universal to do the pictures. So she didn't work for Universal Studios at any point. And that's important because we're going to see that she lies about that. She lies.
This woman lies?
A lot. So the other point that I want to make about Casey not graduating, and I just looked at my notes. I've been kind of going off of memory for most of this because I was alive when this case happened, which for a lot of the other cases that we've talked about, I was either too young to remember them or I wasn't alive. So this case, I'm going a lot off of memory and off of information that I remember being like put out. Like I was like 11 or 12 at the time, and I remember most of the information that was put out because my mom talked about it a lot. My mom was like, that bitch killed her daughter. Like I remember this case happening. I remember my mom like throwing shit when she was watching the news report where Casey Anthony was acquitted.
It was just Nancy Grace, back when Nancy Grace was on TV. It was all she could talk. It was, and my wife would watch Nancy Grace all the time, so it was on all the time. Or my wife just getting all worked up about this whole case, and Nancy Grace would have the big
reveals,
the headlines that say like top. She called her Top Mom. That was the big
Tot Mom.
Yeah, I mean, Nancy Grace always had like a name for every case that she was talking about. And Top Mom was the big name for
Casey.
Yeah.
So the point
rather
that
than
I
like
want,
murder cunt, it was Top Mom.
right. So the other point I want to make is that Casey's parents enabled her lying, and the way that they enabled her lying is when they found out that their daughter was not going to walk and was not going to graduate from the school counselor, they still threw her a graduation party. They accepted gifts. They did all of this shit for somebody that didn't technically graduate. So that's the other point I want to make. Yes, there was family drama. Yes, Casey's a liar, but her fucking parents always enabled it. So
Yeah.
I want to make that point.
Parents of the year.
Parent of the year. So the other point I want to make is that when Casey like gets around people, and this is like coming from people in the case, this is coming from the 2 videos I watched, the articles that I read, the information that I remember coming out when I was a kid. Like, everybody that is anybody has always said that she like sucks the life out of you. I called her a vampire in my notes, unintended. Like, I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was just like, what sucks the life out of people? Vampires. And that's just the way I wrote it. So this bitch, like, she will suck the life out of you emotionally and financially, because we're going to talk about some money that she stole. I'm shocked that this bitch isn't in prison for all of the money she's stolen. Like, we wouldn't even have to try her for Caylee's fucking murder if we just tried her for all the money she stole from her family and friends. She'd be in jail for the rest of her life, I promise. Like, there's so much money that she's taken from people. But she got pregnant in 2005. She lied. She gave birth to Caylee. Caylee was an August baby. Caylee was born on August 9th.
What year?
So, 2005. So
She was
Caylee,
born in 2005, or was she?
She was born in
Okay.
2005. She was born in because she was only 3 when she went
August,
missing, and that was in 2008 that she went missing. So she was
Okay,
born in
okay.
2005. So she was born in 2005. So it freaks me out because, like, my sister was born in 2004. So she was only 1 year younger than my sister, and my sister's 16. So, like, you think about it, and, like, this little girl lost her life at 3. And she would have been 15 right now. She would have been getting her permit. She would have been going to high school. She would have been learning how to drive.
I can't believe it's been that long ago. That's all it feels like. It wasn't that long ago.
Well, the
Yeah.
trial happened like in 2011. So 3 years after the disappearance actually
Okay,
took
yeah.
place. So that's why it feels like it hasn't been that long ago, because it really wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
It was like at this point it was like 9 years ago, but like it hasn't been that long ago, full disclosure.
It still
like,
doesn't feel that long, but yeah.
So
Crazy. And then, the Jodi Arias stuff was right around that same time, too.
It was. I think the trial for Jodi Arias was in 2012.
Okay, yeah.
So the one thing that you have to remember is that Caylee didn't have any time away from her mother or her grandparents. Caylee, nobody knew, to this day, nobody knows who Caylee's father is. Nobody knows who Caylee's father is. Nobody knows who, like, Casey's made up a bunch of lies. She said that Jesse Grund was originally Caylee's father, but the paternity test proved that wrong. She said that there was, like, a guy she had a one-night stand with. Like, she made up a man at some point that she had been in a relationship with that was the father of Caylee. Like, she refuses to tell anybody who Caylee's father was, and I think she knows, but she won't tell anybody.
And there's got to be some guy out there. It's like, whew, man, I dodged a bullet there. Some guy has to know that he's the father out there. There has to be.
Right.
I mean,
now there is one guy that a lot of people think, even like Stephanie in her video was like, I really think that this guy is the father, but he died in a car crash before he could prove his paternity. So he died in a car crash. And, like, I guess the mother of this guy came out to, like, CBS or ABC or something and was like, my son's the father of Caylee Anthony. He said I was going to be a grandma, and that the mother's name was Casey Anthony. So, and this guy just died in a car crash. So a lot of people think that that's the guy. I personally think that I think she knows who the guy is, but I think she won't tell the guy, because I think she honestly, like, I think that she knows that person, like, would not be a good either she knows that person wouldn't be a good father, or she knows that person would be a better father than she is a mother. And so she never wanted to tell anybody so that she never had to risk losing her daughter.
Yeah.
So nobody knows who Caylee's dad is. So Caylee was never away from her mother and her grandparents, because Casey lived with her grandparents, and Casey did have an older brother, but they didn't live with her, or he didn't live with them. And I don't think that he, like, ever took Caylee. And his name is Lee. We'll talk about him later during the court case. But it's a lot. Now, Casey and Caylee were taken very good care of at her parents' house, at the grandparents' house. Caylee had a whole Winnie the Pooh room because, like, if you, like, in 2005, that was the shit. Like, Winnie the Pooh was the shit. Like, I watched Winnie the Pooh. Like, in 2005, that was, like, the hottest
when
stuff.
I was
Winnie
a
the
kid,
Pooh's been around since like the 60s, I think, or something.
the books I think came out in the 60s. I used to love Winnie the Pooh when I was a kid.
Yeah, they just, like, that's when,
Even
like,
often would squeeze himself into small holes the same way and get stuck the same way Winnie the Pooh did, and oftentimes wouldn't wear pants the same way that Winnie the Pooh did.
well, and, like, I just mean that, like, Winnie the Pooh, like, I remember that was, like, the thing that, like, when my mom didn't, you know, when my mom was cleaning or cooking or my dad was doing something, that's what they put on the TV was Winnie the Pooh. So, like, in 2005, I was born in 1999, so that was 6 years after I was born. So it had to still be a pretty big deal. You know what I'm saying? So, like, Winnie the Pooh was the thing. They decked her room out in Winnie the Pooh sheets and blankets and wallpaper. Like, she had a beautiful, like, room. She had a little playhouse that George is Casey's father, and he had actually made it for her. Like, he went and, like, handmade it, and, like, he, like, put little fake tiles on the floor, and, like, you know, I think it had her name on it somewhere. And, like, it's really interesting because later on, when we get into the disappearance part of the case, they use cadaver dogs, and cadaver dogs actually hit under Caylee's playhouse.
Oh.
So a little weird. A little weird.
Yeah.
But, you know, I did want to make the point that she was very, very well taken care of when she was with her grandparents and her. For the most part, her mother, everybody said that Casey was a good mom to Caylee. That, you know, obviously she didn't provide for her because we haven't talked about this yet, but Casey never went back to work after she gave birth to Caylee. So she gave birth to Caylee. She went on maternity leave from this photography company that she was working for at Universal. And she just never went back. Like, they would message her and call her and be like, hey, when are you coming back? Hey, did you ever get a sitter? Hey, did you get her in daycare? You know, they kept asking her when she was coming back, and she would just ignore all of their messages and all their phone calls. So at some point they were like, fuck it, we're firing her. And she got fired, and Casey knew that she was fired, but nobody else knew that Casey was fired. So Casey would, like, go to work every day, like, leave the house and say, oh, I'm going to work. And she wasn't going to work. I have no fucking idea where she was going, but she would leave her daughter. Like, she would leave her daughter for 8 hours a day because she was working and she wasn't working.
Yeah. She's, you know, just skirting her responsibilities, just trying to get away from her kid. Because it's hard to raise a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard being a parent. Sometimes you want to just run off.
Run off, Craig.
To go hang out in bars, and,
you know,
we'll get there.
Have more children.
Oh, yeah. But at this point, like, well, she said she wanted to. And I'm like, listen, bitch, if you have another child, like, the whole world's gonna explode, I've decided. So, you know, Casey, at this point, Casey is still lying. She is still, I don't even know, like, she's got her parents completely snowed. And I don't know how she has her parents completely snowed, because quite personally, like, I lied to my mom once about calling a girl a bitch in a text message on my cell phone. And my mom didn't trust me for 2 months over a lie about a text message. And these parents are trusting their lying, thieving daughter.
I think it's only daughter syndrome.
Might be only daughter syndrome.
She had a brother, but she was the baby. She was the only daughter. So I think she got a little, you know, got that special treatment for being the only daughter.
At some point, though, you have to have a limit, because she stole. So George Anthony, and this is something that I got from Stephanie's video. I actually didn't know about this. This never came out in the case. But George Anthony had a bank account set up for Caylee. And at the end of every week, after, I don't know if he was working, but after him and Cindy got their paychecks, he would take $30 out of their paychecks and put $30 into this bank account for Caylee, so that when Caylee was grown and she turned 18, or when she turned 16 and wanted a car, like, she'd have some money. And Casey went through and cleaned out her daughter's bank account. And according to George, her own father would even go through and clean out Caylee's piggy bank. So I don't know if maybe, like, a lot of people think that she had a drug problem. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but when she was telling the police who took Caylee, she said Xanny the Nanny. And a lot of people think that Xanny the Nanny actually stands for Xanax.
Well,
So,
also, another thing about Xanny the Nanny, she
didn't
was
exist.
supposed to be a Jamaican babysitter.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming that maybe, like, at least, like even if you listen to, like, rap music, like really shitty rap music, like no decent rapper actually talks about Xanax, but there's a couple of songs out there where they talk about Xanax and they always call it Xanny.
I had heard plenty about Xanny the Nanny. I never made the connection to it being Xanax, and that's an interesting connection to make. But Xanny comes up later.
When you think about it, though, like, so later on, like, down the road, like, closer to Caylee going missing, like, I think a month before Caylee goes missing, George and Cindy go and have their finances evaluated by some guy, like maybe an accountant. I don't really know. I just know that they had their finances evaluated, and that was something that they did. And they found out that Casey had stolen like more than $20,000 from them, like more than $30,000 from them. That she had stolen thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. So, like, that would be a really good explanation as to where all of that tens of thousands of dollars went, was to Xanax that she was taking on a regular basis.
Well, and plus, we know that she partied nonstop. Yeah. And I mean, there's plenty of, and you'll get to it, I'm sure. There's plenty of photographs of even after Caylee went missing of her partying.
She like participated in a hot body contest apparently 4 days after Caylee was missing, and like she like was going to parties and getting drunk and getting tattoos. Like she got a tattoo that said Bella Vita, which I think in Italian means beautiful life. Yeah. After her daughter was missing.
Yep.
So Casey's fucking awful. Also around this time, Casey makes up this fake boyfriend based on a real guy that she knows. So in middle school, she knew this guy named Jeff Hopkins. And so she makes up a current version of him that's like completely fake. Like she says he has a child and, you know, he's got an ex-wife and he's got like all this different shit that like the real Jeff Hopkins doesn't have. And she tells her parents that that's her boyfriend, when in reality she's dating a guy that is like an event promoter for what was called Fusion Nightclub, and it was in Orlando. So she was dating this guy called Tony, and he was an event coordinator for Fusion Nightclub. So she had this like boyfriend that she knew her parents wouldn't approve of, because in order for him to do his job, he had to spend all his time at nightclubs. And she created this guy that she worked with at Universal Studios after she created her fake promotion, because she created a fake promotion and she was apparently now an event coordinator at Universal Studios that she didn't work at anymore. And she like it's just crazy. Like when you sit down like and think about all these lies, like whenever I told a lie, it was an easy lie to remember. Like, hey, where were you last night? Oh, I was at my friend's house. I was at you know, Amy's house, even though I didn't have a friend named Amy or anything like that. I was at my friend's house, right? This chick, like, she spins stories. Like, it's like, I almost feel like she maybe had, like, a mental disorder that, like, caused her to feel like she was living in a different reality.
Where lying was so much easier than being honest. Because I'm sure her parents would have gladly babysat the baby if she said, "Hey, I want to go out and let go a little,
Right.
go and relax." But instead, it was, "I'm going to go to work, but then party,
Right.
party."
Party all the time. At some point, I know that she got hella sticky fingers, and she actually, and I've seen multiple sources for this, not just the video that I watched about Casey Anthony, but multiple sources for this, where Casey actually took, like, her grandma gave her a check for her birthday, and the check happened to be from an account that had money in it that Casey's grandmother used to pay for her grandfather's nursing home fees and food and everything like that. And Casey took the routing number from that check and drained that account, completely drained it. And her grandma found out and was like, "I'm pressing charges." And Cindy was like, no, don't. She needs, she has Caylee and she's working, and I don't know why she would steal that money, but don't press charges. Like, and that's the same thing that she told George when George found out that she had drained this bank account that was Caylee's. Like, it's just a mess. Like, Cindy, I think George got pretty fed up. And, like, even to this day, George doesn't speak to his daughter. He refuses to speak to his daughter. And he has publicly
There's a
said...
reason why that we'll get to.
Oh, yeah. Like, and he's publicly said that if Casey ever tried to sell her story and profit off of Caylee's death, he would sue her. Like, George hates his daughter at this point. So, like, honest to God, like, it seems like George is more willing to let Casey take responsibility. And Cindy's like, wait. I don't want her to have to face the consequences for these situations. Until, of course, Casey refuses to do what Cindy wants, because I think Cindy's a controlling person, quite personally. And so Cindy, instead of saying, "Oh, hey, my daughter stole money from my mom, I'm going to allow my mom to press charges so that Casey can go to jail and learn her lesson," she protected Casey. She protected Casey a lot. Steven, do you have anything to add? Are you still with us, buddy?
Nope. Fell asleep.
He's sleeping over there.
Well, you just got really quiet, and I'm over here just, like, talking to Craig, and I was like, where's my
This
co-host?
guy, check to make sure he's breathing every once in a while.
But, yeah, so she got hella sticky fingers, and she is partying. She's hanging out with Tony. Like, right around this time is when you would see, like, does anybody remember seeing the picture of her wearing an American flag as a dress?
Yeah.
That also happened around this time. And, like, was, like, the pinnacle. Like, I think that's even the party that she met Tony at. Like, that's when things started getting a little crazy. So Xanny the Nanny then is when comes up. And that's when Casey claims to have gotten a second job to her parents. So Xanny comes...
She's working hard at these imaginary jobs.
Really? Fucking seriously? So
she just
Xanny,
had a big imagination.
She had a real SpongeBob cardboard box imagination over here.
That's right.
But, so, Casey creates Xanny the Nanny so that she can stop using her parents.
Don't just say that she's fake now. Xanny was a real person.
Technically, she was a real person, but she did not know Casey.
No,
she
was.
had never met Caylee. And,
was she actually a real person?
Yeah,
I thought she was made up the whole
person.
time.
No, she's a real person.
Was she
Her
actually
name is,
Jamaican?
she's Mexican. I think.
Casey said that she was a Jamaican. When she would tell the story, which is why I'm using the Jamaican air horn, because she would, in her story, Xanny was a Jamaican woman.
She was, but Xanny's full name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, which is some type of Hispanic name. So I'm thinking it's because she's in Florida. I'm gonna assume it's Cuban. but it could also be
I just
Mexican.
assumed that she was always just a made up. I know Casey's version of her was made up.
Casey's version of her was made up.
Yeah.
Zenaida actually sued Casey because Zenaida was like,
Okay.
I don't fucking know you. I don't
Yeah,
fucking know your daughter.
I assumed the whole time that she was just a completely made up human. I thought she just, I mean, she did essentially make her up. She just took a person's name apparently. But I know in her story, she said that she was a Jamaican, and she said that, you know, she basically tried to imply that Xanny the nanny could have been the one to take.
He said that Xanny took her.
Caylee. Yeah.
Like, we're going to play some 911 calls here in a few minutes. And when we play those 911 calls, we're going to find out a little bit more information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dismantle my tripod real quick. And I'm going to dismantle my tripod because I'm going to actually read you guys a timeline. I have an article, an ABC News article, and we're going to actually... I'm going to read you guys the timeline, and then once we hit the point in the timeline when Casey is, like when Casey gets back to her mother and the car is found and everything, that's when we'll play the 911 calls, because I don't know if you've heard the 911 calls from Cindy Anthony, but they're fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've heard them on last podcast on the left. They did a series on Casey Anthony.
So we're going to play those, and we're also going to play an interview that Casey had with the cops, and we're going to go from there.
Hey, this is Stefan from Unsolved Comedies. So, if you have any theories on the case that we just discussed, please mention it in the comment section. And also like and subscribe my page, Dragon Blazer Productions. Right there. Right there. Just, click on that. Subscribe. There's a little thumbs up. Like it. Thank you very much.